So yesterday, I talked about the breaking news that came out that the Pac-12 has added six more teams to the conference starting in July of 2026. Those teams from the Mountain West are all basically most of the state teams, or at least the ones that have state in their name, like Fresno State, Boise State, Colorado State, and San Diego State. And I mentioned, along with others, I mentioned and gave my thoughts on who else they would probably pursue, that being the Pac 12. Other names that have been thrown around are Rice, Texas San Antonio, Air Force, Memphis, UNLV, among others. And, potentially down the line, schools like San Jose State, and so on. There's even, talk, people have even brought this up, just like myself, other people brought this up. North Dakota State, North Dakota State, San Diego State, not San Diego, but South Dakota State, I should say, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Sacramento State, Cal Poly, UC Davis, but the latter two, in my opinion, would be more suited for the Mountain West. And then, of course, you could do some realignment, like, you could take some Sun Belt Conference teams, put them in the Mountain West, and then in their place, you could put some teams like UC Davis and, Cal Poly in the Sun Belt, and, there you go. The thing is, with this whole change in alignment when it comes to the conferences, is it's more along the lines of getting these schools bigger opportunities. Now, these schools do get big opportunities when they get the opportunity to really prove that they can be among the elite when it comes to college football. I mean, how many times have we seen a Mountain West school, or even before it got defunct, a WAC school, prove that they can hang with the elite in college football? We've seen it many times. We've seen Fresno State do it. We've seen, Boise State do it. And these are schools that because of the conference they're aligned with, would never really get an opportunity to go and do any of that. They wouldn't have an opportunity to prove that they belong. The same with Conference USA, like Liberty. I think Liberty's in Conference USA, right? I think they are. Correct me if I'm wrong. They would never get a chance, but they've proven, with the right team and coaching, they can do so. The thing is, all these mid to smaller schools in the FBS have a chance if they can prove themselves, in a big way throughout the season. They have a chance to, to go to these big elite bowl games. And that's but now, basically, with the changing of conferences, that's exactly what's going on here with these four schools, and probably more joining them in the future are going to have. I mean, basically an alignment like this makes, an opportunity to get into some bigger bowl games and get stronger consideration for the playoffs and, being in bowl games like the Rose Bowl and so on, much more, I guess you could say, tangible and reachable than they've been before. And, it also allows them to, when they get into the rankings, to get ranked, a lot quicker in a higher echelon of those rankings than before. And I think that's an opportunity that no school would want to, pass up. No school would want to pass up. I mean, think about it. Again, we have seen Boise State prove this on multiple occasions. We have seen other schools, from the Mountain West and, even Conference USA and so on, prove it on multiple occasions. And now, they're going to have an easier opportunity. They're going to have a better chance to go out there and prove on a bigger stage, on a much bigger stage, like the Pac-12, go out there and prove that they truly belong, that they don't need, any luck. They don't need, basically certain regiments, if you will, to prove themselves because of the conference they're in. This gives them that opportunity. This gives them that chance to not only help this conference that has a legacy of its own become a power conference again and be in the talk of a Power Five, basically the elite conferences, but they have a chance to, do it on the field, if you will. They have a chance to do it on the field against very elite opponents. Because you also got to look at it this way: the Pac-12, still being looked at as an elite conference, as a be all end all conference, power conference to an extent. Basically, it allows them more flexibility to schedule against big time opponents. Big time schools in other elite conferences. And by doing so, it gives an opportunity to said schools like a Boise State, a Fresno State, and San Diego State, and Colorado State. It gives them the opportunity to go out there, more so than they are now, go out there and prove themselves. I mean, yeah, they can get scheduled against these big time schools every now and then, but they get this kind of, but when they get, when they get into this situation, I'm trying to get the right words to say. When they get into this situation in 2026, going up against a bigger, amount of schools, more so than they are now, it's opportunistic to, an opportunistic moment for them to show that they belong. And like I said, it makes the opportunity to be in the playoffs, to be, an elite team that probably gets a bye or something like that. It makes those opportunities more attainable and more reachable than they've ever been. And that's why this is a good thing. And also in the long run, through the domino effect, yeah, you might pluck some schools, from other conferences to join them, in the future, but you also allow those conferences an opportunity to reach out to other conferences that are on the same level as them, or a little below, or even, reach out to the FCS schools that are on the verge potentially of jumping over to FBS. You give conferences like Mountain West, like AAC, like, Conference USA, like Sun Belt, you give them the opportunity to reach out to those FCS schools, and basically invite them in to be part of the conference to take the spots that the other teams left behind. And that's what the Mountain West is going to hopefully be doing within the next, couple of years. They're going to reach out not just to other FBS schools, that might be in the same level conferences as the Mountain West or even below them, but they're also going to reach out mostly to the FCS, I think, and try to, snag some of those schools from the Big Sky and so on that, can fill those gaps left behind. And the same will be said for Conference USA. The same will be said for the, for the American Athletic Conference. These things are going to happen, because you think this is the end? No, because according to reports and those that have people close to the situation, this is just the beginning for the Pac-12 rebuilding to being that power elite conference they once were. And by doing so, it's going to open the door for the other conferences they pluck teams from to go and pluck teams from other conferences on their level, if not below, as well as mostly from the FCS. So if I'm Sacramento State, if I'm, Cal Poly, if I'm UC Davis, if I'm North Dakota State, if I'm South Dakota State, if I'm Montana State, you name it. If I'm, Northeastern Illinois, I think, or Northeastern Louisiana, whoever, if I'm any of them, I prepare myself. I prepare myself, for the opportunity, I prepare myself for the opportunity to get that call, from any one of those conferences in the future to join them because of the, schools that they will be plucking, because of the schools, I should say, the Pac-12 will be plucking away from them. So if I'm, again, Sacramento State, South Dakota, North Dakota State, both, state universities, Cal Poly, UC Davis, you name it. If I'm any of them, I get ready to, pick up that phone, or pick up my cell phone, and, get that call of, hey, let's, hey, you want to join our conference? We need some teams to replace the ones we've lost. So, if I'm them, I'd be prepared for that. I would be prepared for that, in my opinion. But yeah, you know, with this, but yeah, when you think about it, yeah, it's bad for the Mountain West to lose some of the, some of the schools, but in the end, it also opens the door for them and potentially for the AAC and for Conference USA, C-USA, and and everybody, and even I should say, the Pac-12 can look into schools like, like the ones I've mentioned from the FCS and try to invite them in too. And there's a dragonfly right above me. But try to invite them in too. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it opens up the door. It opens up the door, in my opinion, for stuff like that to happen, and occur. And it makes opportunities to be in the bigger, more elite bowl games that take place around New Year's and all that. Makes it more attainable for schools like Boise State and so on to have that opportunity. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment below, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel. Also check out the Teespring store. Link is in the description for you guys to click on to check out for items you can't find anywhere else. Also click on the links to where you can find my content elsewhere on, from rumble.com to deviantart.com. Well, actually, go to deviantart.com/bvw1979 and you'll find stuff there. Also check me out at Odyssey and check out my various podcast affiliates for my podcast show as well, my podcast series as well. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are, and until then, I am out.